Nick, very good to see you. Great question today. If you are married, when should you claim Social Security? Social Security claiming strategies for married couples can be more complex because you need to consider spousal benefits and survivor benefits. So let's talk through some key questions. First, what is the most important consideration when deciding to claim Social Security if I am married?
The most important consideration is the option that's going to help your money last the longest. The study, and the reason I say that is because a couple over the age of 65 has a 75% chance that one person is going to live over the age of 90. So that's like 25 years of unemployment. And we're so used to looking at Social Security like it's a decision on its own, like it's on an island, and it's not. It works together with your other investments. In fact, it's probably one of your biggest investments. So how do you take this Social Security number, get the most out of it so that your money lasts longer? And so you don't want to pick a Social Security choice that causes you to run out of money at age 85, for instance. So the most important consideration is, how does Social Security play with my other investments so that I can optimize it and get more so that I have money at 95 or 100 if I live that long.
So then what's the most common mistake you see when it comes to married couples filing for Social Security?
So I'd say failing to maximize Social Security spousal benefits.
Okay.
A lot of times what people will do is one spouse turns on their benefit, the other spouse turns on their benefit, and then that's all there is. And sometimes there's spousal benefits where one spouse can actually get a higher benefit based on the other spouse. But if you have not, because you asked not. I had another one, just talked to him a short bit ago, from Illinois. And the husband, she never worked. The husband worked. And so he turned on his Social Security benefits, went down to Social Security Administration. They turned it on. And she didn't turn on her benefits. And I kind of said, hey, have you ever looked into turning on your Social Security benefits? She said, I never worked. I raised the family. I raised the kids. I don't have anything. I said, no, you're eligible. And the husband said, well, nobody mentioned that to me. I said, just go down, just ask, just say, hey, am I eligible for spousal benefits? She goes down and finds out she's eligible for $850 per month of Social Security benefits based off of her spouse and the fact that he worked. She didn't work. That's $850. That's like $10,000 per year that just got dropped right in their pocket. But the thing is, you never know. Social Security is they just push the papers. Their job is not to advise you on stuff like that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people go down and they think, oh, I'm going to get the best advice from Social Security. No, all they're really doing is plugging numbers in and doing things like that. And I've even had people go down and get what they thought was advice from a Social Security person, come back, tell me the numbers. And I'm like, there's something missing there. And then have them go back, talk to a different person and find out they're eligible for so much more.
Right.
So I think that's probably one of the first things, maybe overlooking survivor benefits. There's survivor benefits. There's different types of things like that. If you were married, maybe and divorced, overlooking that you might be able to get benefits based off of your ex-spouse's earnings record. If you did that. There's all these other things. And then another thing maybe overlooking by a lot of spouses is claiming too early. A lot of times if you have two spouses and they both turn on benefits early, then what happens is if something happens to that spouse, now they only adopt the higher of the two Social Securities. Well, if both Social Security numbers are low because you turned it on at 62, you didn't really leave as much potential benefit than you could. So sometimes maybe staggering. One person turns on at 62, the other person's continues to grow, and have that other person's turned on maybe later, 67, 68, 69, and then their benefit's higher. So you have these two numbers, and then that way if something happens to this person gets to rise up and get the higher number, not go down to the lower number.
What if one spouse is working and the other is retired? How does that change the calculation? Or what if both are retired?
Well, it kind of goes back to what I just said. It gives you a great option. If one is working and that's the higher wage earner, that person can defer their benefit. And maybe what happens is they keep working, they defer their benefits, so their benefit goes higher. The other person who maybe is already retired, who maybe has a smaller benefit, they can turn on their Social Security and then just save it. So I have a couple that's what they do. They have an income coming in. She's turned on her Social Security. They've been saving it while he is still working. So his benefit for Social Security keeps going up because he continues to work. they're living off of his work income, but they're saving her Social Security benefit because she turned hers on.
Mhm.
So now they're building up their war chest. They're building up their cash stash, so to speak, that they didn't have by turning on those benefits. It really becomes a numbers game, Aaron, because what you can do is plug numbers in, and this is what we do for people, is we'll plug numbers in to a Social Security program that dissects the really 500 different ways you can claim, the
Right.
2,000 different rules, and says, okay, you have more than just the options of 62, 67, and 70. Here's all the other options that you can tap into and maximize those benefits. That's the
Mhm.
best way to go.
So you've said this before. Explain spousal benefits.
So spousal benefits, well, they changed, right? Because spousal benefits, it used to be there was something called file and suspend. And so file and suspend meant that, hey, I can turn on my benefits and let my, turn on my spouse's benefit based off of their earnings record and let my benefit continue to cook. And then at some point in time, I'll turn this one off and I'll kick this one on and I'll get more. Back in 2015, though, they started doing away with that entirely. So much so that even now people will tell their friends, hey, yeah, you should try that file suspend strategy. And they think that it exists and it really doesn't. So now really it's a spousal benefit can be two things. Number one, it can be the way in which you're optimizing. Maybe one spouse turns on one benefit and the other person turns it on at a different time to get more. But it can also be an additional benefit. So if you have a high wage earner and then a lower wage earner, because maybe one spouse stayed home with the kids or didn't work for a while, and they're getting this benefit, sometimes Social Security will look at the higher wage earner's benefit and add an additional amount to that spousal benefit to bring them up a little bit higher based on the higher wage earner's income. So
Interesting.
all of that to say this, go down and just add, if you're married, just say, hey, am I entitled to any additional spousal benefits?
Mhm.
And they'll tell
Mhm.
you because you're asking the right question.
And then how about survivor benefits? How should that be part of my calculation?
Well, survivor benefits can be where you've lost a spouse and, maybe due to death or something. And some people will just think, well, he passed away, so I guess I get nothing. And that's not the case at all. You may be entitled to survivor benefits, and sometimes you can even take those benefits sooner than full retirement age. And so sometimes you can take those survivor benefits. It could be where you optimize taking some of those survivor benefits earlier and start saving some of that money up, because usually if you've lost a spouse, you don't have as much saved. And so sometimes looking at what those survivor benefits are, knowing that they're there, asking about it, and then figuring out, okay, if I'm 62 and I turn it on, what am I going to get? But what happens if I turn it on at 67? And maybe I'll work a little bit longer and let that survivor benefit grow and then kick it on. Ultimately, what we're trying to figure out is, if you have this coming in from Social Security, how can we optimize everything else that you've saved so that your money lasts to at least 95 or older? And I know that sounds
Yeah.
crazy, but it just becomes a straight out numbers game. Don't look at Social Security like it's on an island. You've got to look at how it optimizes and plays with all the other investments that you have, because it's
Right.
probably your biggest investment that you do have.
Yeah. So, Nick, if somebody wants to have this conversation with you, how can they reach you?
Best way, go to our website, group10financial.com. Right there, you'll see where you can click a link to get on our calendar and just set up a 15-minute strategy session call where we can look at your Social Security and run a Social Security optimization strategy. Because honestly, if you can get an extra $100,000 of Social Security
Right.
benefits or $200,000 of Social Security benefits by choosing one option over another, that's $100,000 or
Such a big deal.
$200,000 that stays in your pocket. It's a big
Right.
deal.
All right, Nick, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Great being with you, Aaron.